Welcome, my friends. What if I told you that the man who builds the world's most famous electric cars and sends rockets to Mars was once a small boy who was so badly beaten at school he ended up in a hospital, unable to breathe properly for years? This is not a movie. This is not a superhero comic. This is the real life of Elon Musk. Today you are going to hear a story about pain. A story about a boy who was hunted, bullied, and rejected. A boy who had every reason to hide in his room forever. But instead, he decided to change the human race. Why should you listen to this story? Because this is not just about billions of dollars. This is about resilience. It is about what happens when life pushes you down into the dirt, and you decide to stand up one more time. It is about how to build a future when your present looks like a disaster. And yes, this story is also for your English. You will not just learn words today. You will feel them. You will hear the rhythm of real storytelling. You will learn how to describe struggle, victory, and dreams in clear, powerful English. So turn off your notifications. Close your other tabs. Listen closely, because the story of Elon Musk might just be the fuel you need to start your own engine. Let's begin. Part 1. The Boy on the Stairs. Let's go back to the early 1980s. We are in Pretoria, South Africa. It is a violent place. A difficult place, and in a school hallway, a young boy named Elon is trying to hide. He is small for his age. He is quiet. He loves books more than people. In the early 1980s in South Africa, Elon was not a hero. He was a target. He spent his days hiding in libraries because the hallways of his school were a war zone. He learned one painful rule early: if you do not fight back, the world will not stop hitting you. One afternoon, the bell rang. Elon was eating a sandwich. Suddenly, a group of boys approached him. They were bigger, they were stronger, and they were angry. They chased him. Elon ran toward a concrete staircase. But he wasn't fast enough. One of the boys pushed him from the top. One afternoon, a group of boys pushed him down a concrete staircase. He didn't just fall, he tumbled into a nightmare. They beat him until he blacked out. As he lay there in the silence of the hospital later, he didn't cry for help. He decided that he would never be that weak again. His nose was broken. His body was bruised. For years after that day, he had trouble breathing because the damage to his nose was so bad. But the physical pain was not the worst part. The worst part was the loneliness. He went home, but home was not always safe either. His father was a strict, difficult man, a man who used words that cut deeper than knives. So Elon had enemies at school. And he had tension at home. Where does a boy go when the world attacks him from both sides? He went inside his mind. Imagine a young mind, like a seed, under heavy concrete. Most people would stay under the dark soil, but Elon used books to break through. He didn't just play games, he built them. At age 12, he sold his first code for $500. While other kids were just trying to survive the playground. He read everything. When he was 9 years old, he ran out of books to read. So he picked up the Encyclopedia Britannica. Do you know what that is? It is a massive set of books containing all the knowledge of the world. Thousands of pages. Tiny text. Most adults cannot read one volume. Elon read the entire thing. He absorbed facts like a sponge absorbs water. He learned about engines, about history, about space, about physics. He realized that the world was big, much bigger than his school in South Africa. And then he found something that made sense. Computers. Computers didn't bully you. Computers didn't tell a lie. If you wrote the code correctly, the computer obeyed. It was a world he could control. At 12 years old, he wrote a video game called Blastar. It was a simple game about shooting aliens. But remember, he was 12. He didn't just play it. He sold it. A magazine paid him $500 for the code. Let me tell you the truth. Elon Musk was not born a genius with a plan. He was a lonely boy who realized that the only way to escape his reality was to create a new one. He didn't wait for permission to be great, he just started building. That $500 was his first taste of freedom. It was proof that his mind had value. But South Africa felt too small. He looked at the map and saw America. To him, America was the land where impossible things happened. He told his family, "I am going there." At age 17, he left. He left his home. He left the bullies. He left the pain. He arrived in Canada first, with almost no money, working odd jobs. He shoveled dirt in a boiler room. He cut logs. He worked hard, physical labor. Maybe you feel like that boy on the stairs right now. Maybe life is pushing you down. But remember this, you are not a victim of your past. You are the architect of your future. Just like Elon, your scars are just the foundation for what you will build next. He eventually made it to the United States. He went to college. He studied physics and economics. He wanted to understand how the universe worked and how money worked. And then the internet arrived. It was 1995. The internet was new. Most people didn't understand it. They thought it was a toy. But Elon saw the future. He called his brother Kimball and said, "We need to start a company." Part 2. The Hunger Years. In 1995, Elon had a chance to live a normal life. He could have found a good job at a big company. He could have worn a suit and earned a safe salary. Instead, he made a strange decision. He and his brother slept on the floor of a tiny office. They had no shower, so they walked to the local gym every morning. He didn't want a job, he wanted a revolution. They started a company called Zip2. It was like an online map for businesses. Think of it like Google Maps before Google Maps existed. They had 2,000. That is not enough to start a tech company. But they did it anyway. They rented a small office in Palo Alto. But they couldn't afford an apartment and an office. So the office became their home. They bought a futon, a cheap sofa bed. At night, Elon slept on the floor next to his computer. During the day, the website had to be online for customers. So Elon couldn't T-code during the day. He had to wait until night. Imagine trying to build a multi-million-dollar company while your body is screaming for sleep. Elon worked 7 days a week, coding until his eyes burned. Most people carry the weight of their comfort like a heavy bag of garbage. Elon threw the bag away and ran toward the fire. He showered at the YMCA, a local community gym, a few blocks away. He ate fast food. He had no social life, no parties, no vacations. Just code, sleep, code, sleep. One time, he told a story about how he asked a girl out on a date. He didn't have money for a nice dinner, so he invited her to the office to watch him code. That is obsession, but hard work pays off. In 1999, a big computer company called Compaq bought Zip2. They paid $307 million. Elon was 27 years old. Suddenly, the boy who slept on the office floor had $22 million in his pocket. Most people would stop there. They would buy a big house, a fast car, and retire on a beach. They would say, "I won the game." But Elon is not most people. He looked at the banking system. He thought, why is sending money so difficult? Why does it take days? It should be instant, like an email. So he took his millions and started another company, X.com. This company later became PayPal. PayPal grew fast. It changed how the world used money. But success brings enemies. Inside the company, there was a war. Some people on the board of directors didn't tea like Elon's style. They didn't tea like his leadership. Elon finally found success with PayPal. He got married and got on a plane for his honeymoon. But while he was in the air, his own team held a secret meeting. When the plane landed, he wasn't the CEO anymore. He had been fired while he was in the clouds. Can you imagine that feeling? You build a company. You give it your blood and sweat. You get on a plane to celebrate your marriage. And when you land, your phone rings. You are out. It was a betrayal. It was public humiliation. The press wrote about it. Everyone knew Elon Musk had been pushed out of his own company. As someone who has seen people lose everything, let me tell you, a betrayal is often just a redirection. Elon didn't fight. He didn't cry. He took his money and looked at the stars. If you've been betrayed, don't look back. Look up. He kept his shares in PayPal. And when eBay bought PayPal in 2002, Elon made $180 million. Now, pause. Listen to this number, $180 million. This is enough money to live like a king for 10 lifetimes. This is enough money to never work again. This is safe money. Most people focus on keeping their money safe. But the secret to Elon's life is that he hated safety. He took $180 million from PayPal and put every cent into rockets and cars. He had to borrow money just to pay his rent. He wasn't chasing a bank account. He was chasing a legacy. He put $100 million into a rocket company called SpaceX. He put $70 million into an electric car company called Tesla. He put $10 million into a solar energy company called Solar City. Do the math. 100 plus 70 plus 10 equals 180. He left nothing for himself. He literally had to borrow money from friends to pay for his house rent. People thought he was crazy. They said, "You are throwing your money into a fire." Car companies always fail. Rocket companies always fail. But Elon said, "I know. But if we don't try, there is no future." Part 3. The Impossible Rocket. Elon wanted to go to Mars. He looked at the NASA website to see when they were planning to go. He found nothing. No plan. No date. He was shocked. He thought, if they want to go, I will. But he needed a rocket. And rockets are expensive. So he went to Russia. You're about to see the side of the business world that is never on Instagram. Elon went to Russia to buy a rocket, but he didn't find partners. He found men who laughed at him. He was a millionaire, but in that room, he was just a joke to them. He met with Russian aerospace companies. He sat in a cold room in Moscow. He said, "I want to buy an ICBM rocket." The Russians looked at this young American guy. They thought he was a tourist. They thought he was stupid. In a cold room in Moscow, a Russian designer looked at Elon's shoes and spat on the floor. They told him he was a little boy with no business in space. He walked out of that room with nothing but the taste of humiliation in his mouth. They offered him a rocket for a price so high it was impossible. Or they mocked him. Elon left the meeting. He was angry. He was humiliated. He got on the plane back to America. His partners were silent. They thought the dream was over. We could get a rocket, they thought. It's done. But Elon was typing on his computer. Imagine reading every book about rocket science but never touching a piece of metal. That was Elon on the flight home. He didn't have a degree in aerospace, but he had a spreadsheet. He told his team, if they sell us a rocket, we will build one ourselves. He showed them the numbers. Look, he said, the metal cost is low. The fuel cost is low. The reason rockets are expensive is because people are inefficient. We can build it for 10 of the price. His friends looked at him like he was insane. Elon, you are a coder. You are not a rocket scientist. Most people think, I don't have the education to build rockets. But Elon thought, how can I learn it faster than anyone else? This small change in mindset is why SpaceX exists. Today, while other companies are still waiting for permission, he read books, Aerothermodynamics of Gas Turbine and Rocket Propulsion, Fundamentals of Astrodynamics. He memorized them. He talked to engineers. He learned every bolt, every wire, every valve. So now, look at your own big dream. Are you waiting for a Russian to give you permission? Stop. Pick up your tools, fix your focus, and start building. Your future doesn't need a degree, it needs your decision. He started SpaceX in an empty warehouse. He hired a small team. They played music loud. They worked long hours. They were building the Falcon 1. But space is hard. In 2006, they launched the first rocket. It went up. The team cheered. 33 seconds later, boom, fire. It fell into the ocean. Elon said, we will try again. In 2007, launch number 2. It went up. It looked good, but then it started shaking. It spun out of control. It failed. More millions gone. The money was running out. Then came 2008. This was the year that almost killed Elon Musk. Part 4. The Valley of Death. What if I told you that in 2008, the man who is now the richest person on Earth was only hours away from losing everything? 3 rockets had exploded. Tesla was dying. He was a failure in the eyes of the entire world. The year 2008 was a nightmare. The global economy crashed. Banks were collapsing. Nobody wanted to invest money in risky startups. And Tesla, his car company, was bleeding money. Building cars is very expensive. They were running out of cash. And SpaceX, they had parts for only one more rocket. Just one. Launch number 3. The rocket went up, then it shook, then it died. No cheers, no success, no more money. Just the sound of metal falling into the ocean and the silence of a team that had given up. Everything Elon built was turning into ashes. It was August 2008. The 3rd rocket failed. The 2 stages of the rocket bumped into each other. It was a stupid mistake. Elon walked out to his team. They were crying. They were broken. They had spent years of their lives on this, and it failed. But Elon didn't cry. He stood up and said, For my part, I will never give up. I mean never. But words don't pay bills. Remember, what feels like the end of the world is often just the end of a chapter. Elon had enough parts for only one more rocket, one more chance. If you feel like you on your last chance, don't blink. This is where heroes are made. But the pressure was not just at work. At home, his life was falling apart. His marriage was ending. He was getting a divorce. The press, the newspapers, the blogs, everyone was laughing at him. There was a website called Tesla Death Watch that counted the days until Tesla would go bankrupt. Elon's life in 2008 was like a heart monitor, jumping, jumping, jumping. He was getting a divorce, his companies were bleeding cash, and the press was laughing. His brain was under a pressure that would crush a normal man. He started waking up screaming in his sleep. He had physical pain in his stomach. He was losing weight. And then came December 2008. The money was almost gone. He looked at his bank account. He had about 30 million left. This was his last personal money. He had a choice, a terrible choice. On Christmas Eve, 2008, Elon sat in silence. He had to choose, save Tesla and let SpaceX die, or save SpaceX and let Tesla die. It was like choosing which child to save. He decided to risk it all and split his last few millions between both. He chose the path of most pain. If he put all the money into one company, that company would probably survive. But the other one would die for sure. If he split the money, both might die. He couldn't choose. He loved both dreams. So he split the money, 15 million here, 15 million there. It was a suicide mission for his finances. Maybe you are facing a choice where every option hurts. Maybe your money is low and your heart is tired. You are not alone. The greatest stories in history always have a Christmas 2008 moment. Don't give up in the dark. He needed investors to close the deal before Christmas. If the banks closed for the holidays, Tesla would not make payroll. The workers would not get paid. The company would end. It was December 24th, Christmas Eve, the last hour of the last day. The phone rang. The investors said yes. The deal was signed. Tesla was saved. And just a few weeks earlier, SpaceX launched the fourth rocket, the Falcon 1. It went up. It kept going up. It reached orbit. It was the first privately built rocket to reach orbit in history. Elon Musk had survived, but only just. In that moment, Elon didn't ask, why is this happening to me? He asked, what is the one thing I can do to survive another hour? This is the power question. It turns a victim into a survivor. After 2008, things got better. Tesla released the Model S. It was a beautiful car. It won Car of the Year. SpaceX started getting contracts from NASA. The world started to respect him. But the story doesn't end with success. It gets harder. Part 5. The Hell of Production. Fast forward to 2018. Tesla is now a famous company. But Elon made a promise. He promised to build an affordable car for everyone. The Model 3. But designing a car is easy. Building thousands of them a week? That is hell. The factory was broken. The robots weren't working. They were losing millions of dollars every day. The truth is, success didn't make Elon's life easier. In 2018, when he was a billionaire, he was sleeping under a desk on a factory floor. He didn't go home to a mansion, he stayed where the pain was. He wanted to suffer more than his team. He stopped going home. He wore the same clothes for days. He slept on a small couch in the conference room, or sometimes right on the concrete floor under a desk. Why? Because he wanted his workers to see him. He said, "If they are working hard, I must work harder. If they are in pain, I must be in more pain." Imagine working 120 hours a week. Your eyes are red, your muscles ache, and every part of you screams, "Stop." But in that second, you find a new level of energy. Elon lived in that red zone for years to make the Model 3 a reality. He celebrated his birthday in the factory alone. He didn't see his friends. He described himself during that time, "I smelled like metal and dust." He didn't see his children for days. He was a man who owned the future, but in the present, he was a ghost in his own factory. People told him to slow down. "Elon, you will die. You will have a heart attack." He said, "If Tesla dies, I die." This is the difference between wanting something and needing something. Elon needed this to work, and slowly, the factory started to work. They fixed the robots. They fixed the assembly line. Cars started coming out. 1,000 a week. Then 2,000. Then 5,000. Tesla survived again. You might think you are weak because you are tired. You re-nod. You are a storm waiting to rise. If Elon could survive 2008 and 2018, you can survive this week. You are being rebuilt into something powerful. Today, Tesla is one of the most valuable companies in the world. SpaceX is the only private company that sends astronauts to space. They land their rockets back on Earth. Have you seen that? A rocket falling from the sky and landing gently on a ship in the ocean. It looks like magic, but it is not magic. It is the result of suffering. Part 6. The Boy Who Looked Up. Now, let's look at where we are today. Elon Musk is the wealthiest man in history. He bought Twitter for $44 billion. Elon Musk never waited for the car industry or the space industry to say yes to him. He bought Twitter in weeks while others take years to decide. Stop waiting for the world to tell you it's okay to change. Just change. He changes industries like other people change shirts. But what is his real goal? Is it money? No. He has enough money to buy countries. Is it fame? He is already the most famous man alive. His goal is the same goal he had when he was reading books in South Africa. He wants to save humanity. He believes that Earth is fragile. He believes that one day something bad might happen here. An asteroid, a war, a virus. And if humans are only on Earth, we will be extinct. So he wants to put humans on Mars. Even now, with all his billions, he makes a strange decision. He wants to die on Mars. Not because he hates Earth, but because he wants to ensure humanity has a second home. He is still the boy looking at the stars, refusing to stay on the ground. He says, "I would like to die on Mars, just not on impact." He is building the biggest rocket ever made. Starship. It is a beast of metal and fire. It is designed to carry 100 people at a time to the Red Planet. Will he succeed? Many people say no. They say it is impossible. They say he is crazy. But remember, they said electric cars were impossible. They said private rockets were impossible. They said landing a rocket was impossible. Elon Musk has made a career out of doing the impossible. Your life is like a SpaceX rocket. There will be many explosions on the launch pad. There will be fire and smoke. But if you keep fixing the engines, one day you will break the gravity of your old life and reach the stars. Think about the boy on the stairs, the boy with the broken nose, the boy who was alone. That boy decided that he would not let the world define him. He would define the world. He taught us that failure is not the opposite of success. Failure is part of success. He taught us that reading books can change your destiny. He taught us that pain can be fuel. So what about you? What is your rocket? What is the dream you are too scared to build? Are you waiting for permission? Are you waiting for the perfect time? Are you afraid of the bullies? Listen to me. The time will never be perfect. The bullies will never disappear. The fear will never go away. You have to build anyway. So now pick up your dreams, fix your focus, and stop making excuses. The world doesn't need more followers. It needs more people who are willing to sleep on the floor for what they believe in. Your future is waiting. Go build it. Thank you for listening to this story. If you felt something today, if you felt a spark in your chest, do not let it die. Use it. Subscribe to this channel for more stories that don't just teach you English, but teach you how to live. ILL. See you in the next one. Keep looking up.